don't. What's up, guys? You know who it is. It is a long-awaited video that I'm doing. A very long-awaited one. I have been not so active on YouTube. All of you guys have been drilling my ass on that shit. So I'm going to be running the videos back up, and we're going off strong with a simple video just explaining to you guys the entire history of my life, I guess. And what I have here, right, is a little graph that I have made for you guys. What the fuck? Hold up, guys. I just realized that I'm on here looking like a chapped motherfucker. What the fuck? Hold on. If you guys are wondering, this is Peri Peri, I think? Oh, I think it's Peri Peri. My friend gifted me this when I was broke and homeless. Aww. Oh. My shimmery lip gloss to touch it off. Hold on. Oh, snotched. Anyways, here I have my little graph since birth. Okay, we're gonna be going through everything with you guys and a little context as to why I suddenly decided to share with y'all the lore of Victoria Boumajdi. First things first, a lot of you guys were being bitches coming into my comment sections and DM me like, hey, what do you know at 19 years old? I know a fuck ton, okay? A lot more than you do. That's why you listen to me, okay? And on top of that, I just wanted to let you guys know why I have the mentality I have around money, why I have the mentality I have around relationships, why I have the mentality around goals, dreams, ambitions, why I'm literally so amazing and gorgeous and just awesome in every way, shape, or form. Getting right into the video, we're gonna start off with how I was since birth. Since I was young, guys, I was a very odd kid. I was an extremely odd kid, I will say that. I know everyone says this, but no, I'm gonna put up a bunch of photos for you guys. You're just gonna feel it. You're gonna feel the oddness in my aura. I could never stare at a photo. I was a very weird kid. But stare at the photo, screenshot them, make them your profile pics. I really don't fucking care what you do with that shit. One event that I do remember from my childhood, which I think says a lot about me, and you guys are gonna think I'm stupid for saying this, but I don't really care. When I was in kindergarten or some shit, I was like the only kid who can climb all the way to the top of the rope, and my dad was there to see me, but I really don't know how my dad got there, but I just remember staring down from the top of the rope, seeing my dad there, and then my dad still brings it up to this day, but yeah. That just makes me awesome and better than everyone, automatically. Moving on, so my parents drilling on my ass. My father is a former Marine. If you don't know, my mother is very traditional. They drilled my ass, guys. I'm not even kidding. I used to wake up at like fucking, I believe it was like 5 a.m. when I was like maybe 7. And then starting from 8, I was waking up at 3 a.m. to do tennis lessons. 5 a.m. was for running. So I grew up in a very, very active family. On top of all of that, I also did competitive gymnastics, competitive swimming, and ballet. So normally how my day would go is I would wake up starting at 3 a.m. We're starting from 7, 8 right now, not 6. I would wake up at 3 a.m. I'd do tennis, and sometimes me and my little siblings would fight about who had to do the first lesson because that person had to wake up at 3 a.m. Everybody else got to wake up at like 4 or 5 and stuff. But yeah, my mom would make me eat some bad-ass oatmeal. That shit was so nasty, but I still love my mom. And that oatmeal would consist of blueberries, and we would try to steal syrup from the fridge if she wasn't there. Classical music was always blasting. Tennis was always on the TV. After that, I would go to school. After school, I would go to competitive gymnastics if we got out early because of season. If we were in competitive season, I would go to swimming. And if we were in Nutcracker season, I would then go to ballet. I was literally outside in LA until like fucking, I don't know. I want to say like 8, 9, sometimes 10 on a school night. We wouldn't get back until 11:30 because of the traffic. And dude, like, I want to first give a shout out to my mom, okay? Like, bro, handling us 3 other kids, including me, so 4 of us, all in a car, a Cadillac, and just fucking tearing her head off and shit. Like, honestly, like, I know that we can all hate our parents sometimes, but no, my mom was the G, and she's hot. I'm going to put in a photo of her here. But anyways, that was my life until 13 years old. I decided to be a little dumbass bitch, okay? So I began to rebel. And by began, I mean, like, there was 2 times that I rebelled. One of them led me to foster care. But, what happened was that at 13 years old, I wanted to go and hang out with a friend. A little bit of context, if you guys don't know, I was not allowed to do shit during these years, okay, all the way leading up to 13, and even a little bit after. I was not allowed to do jack shit. No hanging out with friends, definitely no going to parties, not even school held events. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have any sort of electronic. If I needed to do schoolwork, it had to be done on my school Chromebook, which led me to being a terrible fucking student, but also I was slightly retarded, so I can't really blame my parents for that. But anyways, I tried to rebel by hanging out with a friend instead of going to gymnastics, and the first time I got by with, because my dad was on a business trip. The second time, however, when I got home, my dad was sitting at the kitchen table with his hands folded, staring at my ass. And when I tell you guys, my dad is so freaking scary. Like, I love my dad, but that dude is so... All in all, to sum up the situation that got my ass into foster care, I got it whooped. I got my ass beat by my dad. Did I deserve it? Low-key, yes. Was it traumatizing? Low-key, also, yes. But I did deserve it. I feel like if I were to look at younger me, not a younger person, but younger me specifically, I'd smack the shit out of her. But anyways, I don't want to explain too much of that story just because I want to leave respect for my family out there. It was a pretty traumatizing event for all of us. But what ended up happening is that I ran across to the neighbor's house and asked to call the police. And when the police came, it was a mess. They took away basically all the children and separated the parents. We ended up in a foster home in Palmdale. That shit was also equally, if not more, traumatizing than that night. Okay, the dad was a freaking weirdo molester dude. Y'all gonna call me crazy for this, but the little kid was a rat. I hated the little kid. She would torment my little brother. The mom just didn't fucking care. They beat the dog. We tried to call ASPCA on their ass. I don't even know if they responded. But yeah, terrible foster home. We were there for about 4 to almost 5 months, I want to say, between 3 and 5 months. It was between March 2020 and all the way leading up to, I want to say, June of 2020, that same year. The reason why we got out was because, dude, like, not only did all of my siblings and I just agree that, no, life at home was so much better and we were just spoiled brats and we need to get our shit together and we'd rather get our asses beat than be in this shit, you know? And also, my parents are immigrants, so if you have an immigrant family, before you say, oh my gosh, no, that's abuse, shut the fuck up. You don't understand. But anyways, yeah, so we all collectively agreed that we would much rather go home to my parents, who only wanted the best for us. Low-key, at the end of the day, I had to take a step back and be like, no, wait. Like, my dad, my mom, they're spending all this money on me to try to go to classes. Okay, are they being a little bit obsessive? Yes. But also, are they touching me? No. So I'd much rather go back. We all collectively agreed. My aunt won custody of us first, so we stayed with her then. And then when my parents finally earned custody of us, they had our asses shipped to Switzerland to do international schooling. So a lot of you guys don't know this, but I did go to international school for 4 years straight. And it was in a different school every year. The first school I went to was Switzerland. It was in Le Regent. I'm not sure if I can find some photos, but if I do, I'm definitely going to put them up here. And dude, I learned a shit ton over there. I also developed my eating disorder over there, so that's great. But anyways, here is where I learned that being popular doesn't mean shit. Was I actually popular? No. There are about like fucking 10 other girls in my class, and I happened to be the butt end of the joke in the popular group. So no, I wasn't really popular, but I was fat. And that probably was why they had me around in their friend group. But anyways, all the girls, dude, there was like one girl that I really liked, but all the rest, dude, they were fake as fuck. And even the one I really liked happened to be in and out of that friend group. So it's kind of common fucking knowledge that she would become like them. And I did too. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and say that I was the victim in all of this. No, I was low-key a shitty person too. I was talking shit behind people's back too. So yeah, I was doing all that while being fat. Dude, word of advice for people out there. I know this is going to get clipped, but if you're fat, don't be talking shit. Don't be talking shit if you're fat. Please shut your fucking mouth. You look weird. I looked weird, so I know what you look like. Just don't talk if you're fat, please. But anyways, moving on. I was fucking fat. Also got bullied the shit out of because I was fat, but it was never to my face. That's what fucked me up so hard. Like, I found this shit out through other people. So I found out that my bestie at the time, or like my two besties at the time, one of them was talking straight smack behind my back, calling me fat, I was fat, but calling me fat, calling me ugly, calling me all the things that I actually were, but never to my face. That's what I fucking hate. Okay? One thing about me, I don't give a fuck if you talk shit about me, you do that shit to my face. Okay? Everything else, you're just a fucking weakling, okay? If you're gonna talk shit about me, if you're gonna call me ugly, if you're gonna make fun of my teeth, if you're gonna make fun of my makeup, if you're gonna make fun of my weight, do that shit to my face, please. So I can work on it. But anyways, yeah, so I developed my eating disorder starting at the end of that year. To give you guys a little context, that would be March of 2021, I began to develop an eating disorder. Reminder, I was in Switzerland at the time. And all throughout that summer was fucking horrible, dude. And it was the most horrible because that was, at that time, or up until now, the wealthiest my family has ever fucking been. And I was fucking miserable. And I hate to be that bitch. Trust me, guys. I know you're gonna hate my ass for this. I really hate to be that bitch. To be like, money doesn't buy happiness. No, not exactly. In that sense, yes, but that was because I never truly understood what it was like to be without money. That happened later on in my life. Very thankful to go through that experience. If not, I probably would still be a stuck-up, petty fucking bitch who would say shit like, oh no, money doesn't buy happiness. But anyways, regardless, I would try to find a photo, but I was literally in Monaco on a yacht. Fucking depressed, y'all. I was in Monaco in one of the most expensive fucking hotels in the fucking world. Fucking depressed. That's how retarded that whole shit was. But whatever. Anyways, that year, same year, instead of going back to the same school, I started going to Florimont, which is another school in Geneva, Switzerland. That also led me to being more morbidly depressed because I was like, holy shit, so I actually finally have a place that I fit in for once and I have friends for once. I didn't have friends or fit in, but I didn't find that out until later in my life. But anyways, and I'm like, now I'm going to this dumbass fucking school, and I have to be in school until like, what, 5 p.m? And I have to be at school at fucking like 7:50 p.m, I believe. I think it was 8:30. But anyways, yeah, that led me to being even more depressed, especially Geneva, Switzerland. Everyone's a fucking twat, bro. Not everyone. There is a lot of cool people. I was low-key just depressed, so I hated everyone at that time. There were a lot of cool people, but Geneva in general, there's a lot of depression going on. There's a lot of issues with drugs going on. I feel like this isn't talked about enough because it is a wealthy area. It's a wealthy location on the map. But no, everyone there is morbidly depressed and French. Fuck the French, low-key. I don't mean that. Don't clip that, please. But what happened from there on was I dived deeper into my depression, dived deeper into my eating disorder. Funniest shit was I was admitted very early on. I was admitted October of 2021, that year. And because I wasn't underweight, I was low-key fat. But I wasn't underweight, but I was still starving myself and making myself vomit. They're kind of like, yeah, you don't really look like you need the help. So they let me go after a week. I was still also depressed, which is kind of fucked up because I think they were kind of like looking more into my eating disorder, but they let me go. Terrible fucking choice. That was when I went full head on my eating disorder. Vomiting, throwing up, not keeping anything down, fucking over-exercising. Guys, when I laugh, by the way, I'm not going to be on here and be like, yeah, I laugh at people's traumas because that's how I dealt with my trauma. No, I'm not that person, but I do laugh at my own traumas and it helps me get over it. So shut the fuck up. So I went from 72 kg from the time I was admitted into hospital all the way down to fucking like, I believe it was like 49 or 47. I think it was I got down to 47 later on, but I went down to all the way 49 kilograms at the second time I was admitted. It was May 2022, okay, and that was when I attempted to take my own life. So it literally had to get to that point where I like overdosed on fucking over 1,000 milligrams of morphine for the doctors to be like, guys, I think this girl has a little bit of a problem. I'm gonna be serious for a moment here because this is actually something that, you know, really touches me. My sister was the one that found me after I overdosed. And dude, that's why I say my little sister's my best friend. She has literally been with me throughout all of my fucking traumas, all of my fucking problems, all of my fucking nuisance, and she stayed loyal to me. If anybody ever has something to say about my little sister, they have something with me. She found me at that, and my uncle, and mom drove me right to the hospital. I was fading in and out of consciousness, could barely stay awake. This is one of the most detrimental times in this timeline, so listen up good. When I was in that emergency room and they were forcing charcoal down my throat to try and cleanse all the drugs, and they were doing everything to keep me awake because if I were to fall asleep, there was a very high chance of me passing. My mom's sitting in the corner, right? I'm crying. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. And I do remember begging my mom and telling her, I said, I'm sorry. You know, I want to change. I want to be better. I hate that I brought the entire family into this because I did. Okay, everyone suffered because I chose to suffer. Yes, I chose to suffer, but I'm going to get into that later. And, yeah, she looks at me and she's just like, no, you're not. And quite literally, you are selfish. You are selfish and you only care about yourself. You don't care about anyone else in this family. Dude, that got me fucking hysterical. Like, I was sobbing X10 after that, and that was the last thing my mom told me before they pushed me to the, like, emergency overnight section of that hospital, because they literally had to, pump me full of needles and cleanse my system because it was getting really bad. And those next 3 days, I'm being so honest with you guys, I can barely remember anything. I could not remember anything, but I do remember being awake the entire fucking time. And I do also remember a nurse coming to me, giving me an apple. Reminder, this was the time that I was also struggling with my eating disorder, because when I came in, they had me weighed and I was severely lower, obviously, than 72 kilograms when I first got admitted, about like 6 months before. And she came to me, gave me an apple, told me that if I finished that apple, I wouldn't have to go to the psychiatric ward, which was where they placed all of their ED patients. And if I knew one thing, that was not going to be good. Okay, I've heard it from so many stories. I used to watch a lot of YouTube videos when I was going down that path. If you know, you know. And I heard so many stories of people complaining of how competitive that ward was, how competitive places like that were, how competitive eating disorder centers were in general. So I was like, I had half the mind at that time to be like, guys, maybe I don't want to get worse. Let me try to get admitted into a ward where I may not be comparing my body to others 24/7. But anyways, yeah, I ate that apple. It took me about an hour. I hate to be that bitch as well, to be like, no, guys, it took me an hour. But it did take me an hour. And I was crying while I did it. Never thought I'd be that bitch, but I was that bitch. I ended up getting admitted into a better ward. Plot twist, though, that was not a very good ward, too. Everybody there spoke French. I didn't understand French at the time, so I just felt like a fucking alien. I got more depressed. I lost more weight. I was not eating. Even my fucking psychologist didn't even speak English. Like, we had to bring in a fucking translator who didn't even speak English as well. So we got, like, a psychologist who is speaking in rapid French and then trying to explain something in English. And then the translator who was fucking trying to explain something in English as well, but her English is fucking terrible. So I was just getting more and more depressed and worse and worse. This part is important. One thing about me, throughout all my life, there were times that I called myself atheist. There were times that I would be like, oh, there's no God, and I would try to argue for it. But even throughout those times and periods of my life, whenever things got hard, I would get on my knees and pray, guys. I'm not even, like, I would get on my knees and pray. I would literally say the dumbest shit, like, I don't know who I'm speaking to, but, I just want to ask you, please, like, I know I've been a bad person, but I need you to do blah, 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 blah for me. I did that time. I prayed to get out of that fucking hospital, guys. It was so bad, and my prayers were answered. Obviously, God has a funny way of answering your prayers. He's never going to give you exactly what you want, but he's going to give you exactly what you need. And that's what I learned. I didn't get out of that hospital. Obviously, I just tried to commit suicide fucking a week earlier. But, I ended up getting transferred to a different hospital. So this one was in Lausanne. We're going from Geneva to Lausanne. And quick reminder, right now we are in June 2022. So I get admitted into the hospital in Lausanne. Much, much better, guys. People there actually spoke English. Even the people who didn't speak English tried their hardest to speak English so they can make me feel integrated and not like a fucking alien, unlike the other hospital. I met a lot of good people there. At the same time, I saw these good people coming in and out constantly. I would hear their stories of their earlier hospital visits and how they planned to relapse so they can come back. Guys, this is no joke, okay? Mental health to this degree is no joke because you get comfortable in that shit. I'm not shitting on these people. I understand that they were all going through something, but at the same time, I had to take a step back and realize, holy shit, this is not the life I want. I don't want to be coming in and out of the fucking hospital. I don't want to be telling myself that I'm gonna relapse after I'm forced to get better. No, I didn't want that, you know? And even looking back at these people now, there's some that I still follow to this day and I still, you know, reach out every now and then. I can kind of tell their lives never got better. A lot of them turned to drugs. A lot of them stayed underweight. There was some other people over there who struggled with eating disorders. A lot of them went through identity crises, and I could tell it just by their posts. So yeah, no, that shit's not a fucking joke, you know? And that's why I always say there's a point where, and this is referring back to also when I said that my mom was low-key right? There is a point where you decide that, yep, this is going to be my life. Yep, I'm not going to make any effort to get better. I'm just going to keep digging myself in a deeper hole. As brutal as that sounds, this is the truth, guys. I was in that mentality, okay? Nothing I'm saying comes out of my ass. You get to a point where you really don't care about what you're doing to yourself and even others. And you're just like, I'm just going to do what I do. And why this happens is because you're constantly surrounded by people telling you you're sick, right? Your family's telling you you're sick. Your brother's telling you you're sick. Your friends are telling you you're sick. Your therapist is telling you you're sick. And then all on top of that, they're being like, okay, this is how we're going to fix it. By putting you on more fucking drugs, okay? And allowing you to just keep coming in and out, in and out, in and out. I don't know about y'all. I'm not fucking qualified in any medical way, but I feel like if my patient were to keep coming in and out of my fucking hospital, I'd be like, hold on, guys, I don't think what we're doing is helping. Apparently, that's not the fucking mentality nowadays. But anyways, regardless, I'll get into that in a later video. The world tells you what you are, and the moment you start to agree with that, dude, you lose control of your life. Just like I lost control of mine. Just like all these people lost control of theirs. And a little side note, if you are someone struggling with an eating disorder, depression, or some sort of mental health issue that's holding you back in your life right now, you need to know and remember what I'm about to say next. Your therapist is not in control of your life. Your mom is not in control of your life. Your dad is not in control of your life. Your doctor's not in control of your life. Your friends are most definitely not in control of your life. None of what these people are telling you is helping you, obviously, because you're still in that state. You need to realize that you control your life. You control your mind. I know this is not the thing that you want to be hearing right now. It's not the most comforting, but one day, I promise you're going to come back to this video and be like, holy fucking shit, she was right. Okay? I say all of this with love. It's going to be difficult. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's going to be fucking easy. Dude, my healing process was fucking traumatic, okay? But it is a whole lot better than allowing yourself to get worse and worse and worse because that's what you're comfortable with. You need to make that choice to get better. That is up to you entirely. Nothing what your therapist or your doctor or your mom or your dad or your friends or your brother or your dog says is going to push you to make that choice. You have to make that choice. And when you do, and you have my word on this, even though I don't know who the fuck you are, I'm praying for you. Moving on, okay? Let's see. I went from hospitalization to Dubai to go to my next international school for the next year. Again, a little context. This is now leading into September of 2022. Okay, and I also repeated the 10th grade, so Florimont 10th grade was the one that I fucking failed because I was fucking, like, dying and shit, but, went to Dubai, repeated the 10th grade. A lot of people don't know about this because I was really ashamed of it, but now it's out there, and I really don't give a fuck, because now I am successful and awesome. But anyways, went to Dubai. I got removed from that boarding school so fast, guys. And it really sucked because I worked really hard to get there. I gained all the weight. I healed myself, okay? I had to go through a series of tests in order to prove that I was healthy enough to leave Switzerland. When I finally did, and I decided to be honest about my past, okay, got my ass fucking kicked out of boarding school because they didn't want to deal with a quote-unquote liability. I ended up staying with my aunt, though, and I think that was great for me because a lot of kids from that fucking boarding school ended up to be, like, crazy on fucking drugs and shit. Not to say that I didn't get to that point either, but that's gonna be later in the story, okay? But yeah, it was better for me. I ended up getting really close to my cousin. She's awesome. And I don't know if she's watching this. I think about her all the time. So yeah, I grew close, stayed grounded, stayed with some sort of family. And I think that's what I needed at that time. I didn't need to put myself in the same situation that I was in the 9th grade. So coming towards the end of that school year, I believe it was March 2023, okay? And I began to get a little restless. I began to realize, because I was an overachiever at this time, okay? So I've lived many lives. I've been a loser. I've been a bum, outcast, popular, all of these other things. Now I was being the overachiever. I wanted the utmost approval from my parents. I was doing swimming. I was doing absolutely everything. I was like keeping myself on the grind like I was in my early childhood, and realizing I was like, holy shit, wait, why does it fucking feel like I'm not getting anything out of this? Like, why am I putting all this work in and like people are still shitting on me? Yeah, people shitted on me for simply trying, for caring about my life. So that's what I mean when I say people will shit on you regardless. You might as well do what the fuck you want to do. And I was like, holy shit, wait, I want to be cool. Let me start vaping. I picked up the vape and did absolutely butt fuck nothing for me. Fucking ruined my lungs and shit. It was just not good. Attended my first party summer of that year. Got fucking raped, okay? Last party I ever went to. Little story of that was that I went to that party. It was the first time I've been to any party of any sort. So I brought my purse with me. I was a dumbass fucking bitch because I had all of the fucking cash that my parents have handed me to fucking live for that summer because I wasn't going to be with them, okay? And I brought it to that party, and I got that purse stolen, and I had no way to get home. And the host told me that if I went upstairs and waited, he would get me a way home. Guess what happened then? He definitely didn't get me a way home. Not going to explain that story because I feel like it's pretty point blank. But anyways, I'm so glad that I'm able to also step out of that sort of saltiness mode, though, and realize that, yeah, maybe if I didn't go to the party dressed like the way I was dressed, acting like the way I was acting, drinking like the way I was drinking, that wouldn't have fucking happened, right? And I know a lot of girls are going to get mad at this, but I'm going to tell you this, because I love you, like an older sister. Don't go to a place where a bunch of fucking horny teenagers or adults are gonna be and expect not to get touched. Especially when you're dressed like a hooker. Okay? And this is not me being sexist. I know a lot of people are gonna tell me that it does sound like I am. I'm not being sexist. I'm caring about you. Okay? I'm caring about you like a mother would care about you. You can't go outside in the dark, dressed like that, and expect not to get bad attention. Okay? Does it suck that we have to live in a world like this? Yes, but also you have to take accountability and realize that there are actions and steps that you can take to avoid situations like I was in, okay? I realize that, and that's why it's never happened to me since then. Moving on. From Dubai, I went to Morocco, and this was about the time my family started to struggle financially. So, if you don't know, when you are rich, it is also very easy to get broke, okay? What I do know about my dad is that he does some sort of investments and things like that. If you know a little bit about business and how investments work, if you make a bad investment, if you meet a bad business partner, you're fucked. And your family is fucked. And that happened to my family. So yeah, this is when my family began to slowly struggle financially. We moved to Morocco. I got put into another international school. I also learned much more French, so that's why now I am semi-fluent in French. And also discovered a little bit more about my faith, but not in the way that most people expected it. Again, context. This is about October 2023. I began to attend this school. And also, for the context of what I meant by faith, everybody at this time was expecting me to become a Muslim. I've taken Islam classes with the Imam since I began even going to Dubai just for vacations. I took a whole year of Quran class when I was in that international school in Dubai, because by law, if your father is Muslim on your passport, you have to go to take that class. And I'm not going to say that I didn't like that class. No, I love that class. I learned so much more about Islam. I will say this, I do have a few disagreements, a lot of disagreements about certain things in that faith, but all in all, I've met very extremely peaceful Muslims. Do I want to be that person that's like, everybody become Christian? Yes. But at the same time, my father is a Muslim. My mom is a Buddhist. Okay, I'm not going to be that person who's going to be like, all right, everybody who's not Christian needs to go. No. Maybe as a joke, yes. But no, I learned so much more about that faith. There are a lot of peaceful contexts. Many, many peaceful Muslims. I've met some Muslims even more peaceful than Christians. But that's the case with every religion. Again, never the religion, always the person and what they justify. Learned a lot in that school, but towards the end of that school year, so now we're going into, I want to say January, February of 2025. I was like, I kind of want to go back to America. I've been wanting to go back to America ever since I landed in Switzerland and started international schooling, guys. Dude, trust me when I say this. America is the best fucking country out there. I love Wingstop. I love Raising Cane's, Crumble Cookie, fucking Eagles, and the American flag, and being a retarded American. I love that shit. Because ain't no place like America. There's no place where I can talk like this, right, and not get caught in some legal action because of it. Fucking love America. If you don't like it here, go out there, check it out. I've been to the wealthiest countries. Never ever comes close to the country that America is. Raw, I am patriotic, cry about it, fucking losers. At this time, I actually reconnected with one of my middle school friends. He now attends the Air Force Academy. Very great guy, congratulations on him. I know he worked hard on that. And he actually referred me to more academies. He's like, hey, by the way, if you're ever interested in this shit, there's like a fuck ton of academies you can go for this. You can go to do these things, like West Point, Naval Academy. There's even one for the Marines, one for Coast Guard. So he introduced me to all of this. And I'm kind of like, this is still the time where I'm kind of searching for my parents' approval. So I'm like, well, I really want my dad to like love me like his firstborn son. And he was in the Marines. So I'm going to go to military school. And that was also one of the only ways that I could get out of Morocco if I went to a school that my dad agreed with. So I convinced my dad to let me apply to a military school, and he ended up letting me do that. And I ended up getting it. But not surprisingly so. And you're going to figure that out later. Everybody in that fucking school, okay, I'm not going to name the school. Maybe I will. Maybe you caught it in the fucking picture in the beginning of the video where I held up that fucking timeline. Maybe you caught it. If you didn't, don't go back, okay? But everyone in that school was a fucking drug addict, okay? Everyone was a drug addict. Everybody was on something. Everybody vaped. There's like one Asian kid who didn't vape, and he didn't even speak English, right? But it was all about the money. Learned that out very quickly. But I also wanted to stay in that school just because I loved America. And I was like, okay, if I don't stay in that school, where the fuck am I going to go? Right? And low-key, I will say there was a lot of good times in that school. I met my first relationship in that school. So, which ended up horribly. But anyways, we're going to talk about that later as well. Ended up getting kicked out of that school very quickly. Couldn't pay the tuition. Remember when I said my family was struggling with their finance? Yeah, I figured that out when I got to that school, that my dad had made an agreement with the dean to pay on a certain date, but he was trying to sell one of his houses, didn't go for sale. Okay, and they basically sat me down in the office. They're just like, hey, by the way, yeah, you kind of got to go. You kind of got to go. Your time here is done. I had nowhere to go. I also didn't want to go back to Morocco. So, now we're going to talk about my homelessness. Was it self-induced? Yes, to some degree. That shit was definitely self-induced. But at the same time, I also had this idea in my mind that I was going to make something of myself here. Like, no way in hell I was going to go back to Morocco where there's nothing fucking going on. No one fucking speaks English. Okay, I felt alienated as fuck. I couldn't be an American over there. And I was like, nah, I'm going to stay here, figure everything out on my own. Dude, there were nights I slept in snow booths of a train station. There were times when I began work that I would literally get stranded in the middle of a fucking city, okay? Had no idea how to get home. My phone would be out of battery. It would be like 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, and I had to beg people to get me an Uber back because I had no fucking idea how to add my card to my phone. I was literally like, I got pushed out into the world at 18 years old, had no idea what to fucking do, okay? Working my ass to the bone just to have a place to stay, okay? Sleeping in any room that I can find. Yeah, that shit was fucking horrible, bro. So trust me when I say, money does matter. It is a whole lot better to be depressed when you have a place to sleep than be depressed in the middle of a fucking street at night as a woman, 18 fucking years old. Whole lot better. Anyone who says otherwise has never experienced that in their life. Throughout this time, there was a lot of growth going on. I was still holding on to my first relationship, which I met in that last school that I went to. And I wish that I hadn't. I really wish that I hadn't. I knew that there was something off about this guy. I could never put my finger on it because he was such a little good actor. He was a good actor. I will give him that. I ended up finding out later on back to New York because I had gotten a modeling campaign. The bitch was talking shit about me. But what did I expect? Honestly, what did I expect? But yeah, dude was calling me every fucking name in the book. He hated my ass. That's exactly what he told all of his friends. And honestly, I was mad about it then. Now I'm just like, I was actually supposed to meet with him and all my friends. That was the last thing I wanted to fucking do. Because imagine working your ass off, right, to that point. Being so excited that you finally get some socialization. Because you've spoken to but fuck no one in the past couple of months. Little context. Now we're in this year, very early this year, in March 2025. Okay, imagine going through all that hardship and then hearing that. It's like the last thing you need to hear. The last thing you need to hear is that the one person that you truly love, and the only person that you truly loved, right, the only boy you truly loved, saying that about you. What happened was that one of his companions told me about that. And this was someone that I was really close friends with. I look back at that situation, want to smack myself in the head because the dude only had the best intentions for me, though I didn't like the way the situation was carried out because he did tell me, but was just like, hey, like, I don't want you to tell him that I know, though. So it kind of felt like, what the fuck am I supposed to do then? Because what happened was when I called up my ex and asked him and was like, dude, like, were you like saying that you were gonna sleep with me and then leave me? He was like, no. Like, he kept denying it. No, that's not true. Angriest I've ever seen him. He's never been mad throughout the entire time I've known him. So I knew something was off, but he would just never admit it. I ended up name dropping. I know I'm a snitch, guys. You can fucking throw tomatoes and shit at me. I don't fucking know. I ended up name dropping. My friend obviously got really fucking pissed at me. I was beating myself up. That whole 3 days, most fucking, one of the most horrible days of my life. All of the things that I have built up until that point, I felt like I lost everything because some of you might have heard this story, but I ended up losing my wallet at the airport when I was supposed to be getting on my flight back. Yeah, I lost my wallet, ran out of that terminal, was told I couldn't go back, so I'm stranded in the middle of a fucking airport. I don't have any money. What the fuck am I supposed to do? Ended up sleeping on the airport that night. Those 2 nights, I believe. And that was the moment where I was like, dude, something in my life needs to change. Like, that was rock bottom for me. Rock bottom, surprisingly, was not any of the things I have gone through up until then. Because this was the moment where I was like, dude, I need to start caring about myself. All the way up until then, everything was about someone else. Okay? If you listened well to my story, you probably would have caught that. Everything was always about someone else. It was never about myself. Right? That was just the person I was. I get my happiness from seeing other people happy. But I was killing myself in the meantime. Here I am. I'm stranded in an airport. I have no fucking money, no way back. And what? I've gotten nothing out of constantly searching for other people's approval. That was the moment that my life changed. I ended up getting a flight back because my aunt, my dear aunt, she ended up helping me. I reached out to her. Actually, my sister reached out to her because I refused to tell her because I didn't want to bring her into this mess. That's also another thing about me. I was literally going fucking homeless and was telling people, no, I'll be fine. I'll have a place to stay. I did not have a place to stay. All that was a lie. By the way, if I ever told you I had a place to stay during those months, I was fucking lying to you. Sorry, I didn't want you to worry, but yeah, that was a lie. I got home off that flight, and I was still kind of trying to grapple on to that dude that I loved so much. You know, I texted him, and then he left me on open, and then I texted him again, and then thank goodness this next part happened, right? Right as, in this text, for context, was an apology text. I was apologizing for making him upset, for asking him for the truth. So I wrote him an apology text. And he replied with a very lovely, long apology text. And I'm like reading it. I'm actually sitting outside. I'm at the beach. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this guy is like, so he loves me. And then my friend calls me, tells me that her friend found him on Hinge. He doesn't know I have that photo. He doesn't know that I know. I liked that message, never responded to that again. This is what I love about God, man. God loves you so much that he's never going to force you to do anything, but he will make you learn and learn and learn and learn until you have to crawl back to him. That was the case for me. I was so fucking like, at that point, I don't even know if I was surprised or not surprised because I hadn't listened to him. I still was trying to grapple onto things that I knew were not good for me. Okay? And he let me learn because of it. He let me learn and said, when you're ready, I'm waiting here with open arms. That's how God is. Okay? I ended up grinding down so fucking hard, guys. It's no fucking joke how hard I locked in since March of 2025. Fuck everything else. No relationships. Okay? Money. Trying to work on myself. Trying to heal my relationship with myself. Getting closer to God, meeting the right people, refusing to meet with the wrong people. I got so fucking picky about who I was hanging out with. Okay, you need to do this. Trust me, it's going to save you a lot of energy, time, and mind. Be picky about who you spend your time with. And I'm very, very happy to say I've grown my account to over 100,000 followers since then. I started very early on in February with you guys. You can probably look at my earlier videos and probably tell I was going through some shit, right? But yeah, I'm very grateful that I made it out of that mentality. It took a lot of time and crying and feeling lonely and wondering why I couldn't just be like everyone else and wondering why I couldn't finish high school and wondering why I had to go through all the things I'd gone through and wondering why I couldn't just be normal until I realized that wasn't the life that God wanted for me. God didn't want me to be normal. God was like, no. You're going through all of these things because I want to build you up before giving you something great. If I were to give you this great thing and you are still the person that you were in, 2023, 2024, early 2025, you wouldn't know how to take care of it. You would take it for granted. And safe to say, I'm so glad that I have been through foster care, that I have went through and overcame mental illness, that I know what it's like to be sexualized and have your privacy invaded. I know what it's like to be betrayed by your bestest of friends and the one person you love. I know what it's like to feel lonely. I know what it's like to be like an outcast. I know what it's like to be fat, okay, ugly, unlovable. I know what that's all fucking like, guys. That's why I say the shit that I do. And that's why it probably comes off extremely harsh. Because I refuse to come up on here and lie to your faces, knowing that that is not how I survived all of the things that I went through. I did not survive all the things I went through by just accepting the way things were, or hanging out with the wrong people, or distracting myself, or just finding another guy, right? None of that fucking helped. It was by being so fucking disciplined with myself, sticking my nose down in the fucking dirt, even though it hurt, in the meantime, working towards my goal. That's what it fucking took. Here's the thing. Everybody's capable of doing that. Okay, I was a fucking crybaby. Emotional. Couldn't handle stress whatsoever. I said this before and I'll say it again. Was the kid literally sitting in the back of the class. Never finished her fucking homework. Never was focused. Always staring out the window. Always crying about something. I was that kid. I was that kid. And look who I am now. I'm the one preaching that can stop. Never thought I'd be the one saying that. Okay? I mean everything I say with love. That I can die with. I will die on that hill. That I mean everything I say with love. Everything I say is truthful. I will never take back anything I say, regardless of what context it is put in. Because I know what I said, and the people that get it will get it. Okay? I don't need to come up on here, re-explain my position, when I know exactly where I'm coming from. This is also another thing that I had to accept. Very few people are going to accept me. Very few people are going to accept me, my ideologies, my mentality, my nature. Because, simply said, they haven't gone through what I've gone through. They haven't seen what I've seen. You know, even simple shit like, trust me, America is the best place to be. Bitches will hate. Bitches will call you nationalist. Bitches will call you fucking a white wannabe everything. But they don't know that you know how it feels to be persecuted in another country because of the way you look. Okay? And it's not some silly, he's being racist shit. No, it's like actually fearing for your fucking life. Yeah, a lot of you guys don't know how that actually fucking feels. A lot of people don't know why I come up on here and I say that depression and anxiety and ADHD, all of these things are not real. They're as real as you allow it to be, because they don't know that I've been in that situation. They don't know that that's what it took, realizing that I'm in control of my own life and my own mind, to get out of that. They don't know that. People hate on me for saying pretty privilege is real. Get pretty, get skinny, dress nice. If you're a guy or a girl, smell good, right? Because they don't know that I've been the fucking fat kid. I've been the fucking ugly kid. I've been the kid that nobody fucking looked at because they weren't appealing to the eyes. I know the lack of opportunities you get then, and the influx of opportunities you get after. So when I say get pretty, it's for a fucking reason. Nothing I say, again, comes out of my ass. That is also another thing I will die on. Everything I say has a deeper meaning. And if you search for it, it will be there. Okay? You will find it. Sometimes it'll probably take you having to go through the experience I'm talking about for you to be able to come back to my video and say, nah, guys, she was right. She was right. That I will also die on. This video is not meant for you guys to be like, oh, poor Victoria. Oh, Victoria went through so much. Oh my gosh, like she's just, oh, pity her, pity. I feel, and I know you guys are not going to do that because I know the type of followers I have, and I love all of you for that. Okay? I want you guys to take my story and be like, holy shit, if she could fucking go through all of that, what can I not overcome? What can I, like, not to say your problem is minuscule in comparison to mine. We all are dealing with different things, right? But I want you to understand that I've went through almost every experience, right, that people struggle with, and made it out unscathed. I still look like a bad bitch. On a serious note, take this video, let it inspire you, because I want to see all of you guys have the content to make a video like this one day. You know, I mean this figuratively. I want you guys to overcome so many things that if you were to want to make a video, it would be an hour fucking long. I appreciate you. Each and every one of you. Since the beginning. If you followed me since the beginning, you would know that. You would know that I've literally posted photos on my stories saying, first 100 people to follow me, they all get invited to my mansion party, or, well, now I can't say mansion party because of fucking Diddy. Diddy ruined everything, bro. First 1,000 people, I'll get a Ferrari. First this, first that, I love you guys. I genuinely love you guys. I care about each and every one of you. I mean this seriously. Though I don't have the funds to buy each and every one of you Ferraris yet. I will say that, and I won't lie, because I'm not one of those Instagram gurus. But when I do, mark my words, a lot of you guys are going to be getting that, okay? Or something of that degree. I probably shouldn't make promises I can't keep, but you know what? I'm going to be a billionaire. Remember my name when I'm a billionaire, and if you watch this video and like it, you're awesome. You're invited to my mansion party, which is most definitely not going to be a Diddy party, and I promise this, and I would never do anything like that, but I love and appreciate every one of you guys. Bye!